Street, baby.
Oh, all right. We got another episode of Fan Friday. We brought on none other than Andrew Novak. What's up, brother? How you doing? Of
What's up? Thanks for having me on. It's been a little
course.
time coming, but I'm
Yeah, a
excited.
little time coming, man. We've been talking about this for a while. You know, going. It's funny how we kind of got introduced to each other. Obviously, Tyler introduced us, but he told me you had watched the shows before, and I was beginning to be a bigger golf fan, and so I
Mhm.
didn't have really anybody personally that I would root for. Then once I heard, you were a big Canes fan, I was like, all right, I know exactly who I'm going to root for now. And then we just kind of built a friendship. It's funny how it kind of works out. You're very, very into football, like very into football. I mean,
Yeah.
I know when you're not playing golf, like that's what you want to do, what you want to talk about, what you watch. And you have a podcast of your own, screenplay podcast.
Mhm.
And I want to know about golf, so I'll talk
Yeah.
to you about golf, and I'm over
Yeah.
here asking all these questions. Like that's what I'm interested in. So it's funny how that just kind of works out with us. But
Yeah.
I brought you on today. Basically, I want to ask, how were you brought up? How you became a Canes fan? Because I know you were born in Riley, but you moved real young to Charleston.
Yeah.
Still very far from Miami, Florida. You got a
Hmm.
lot of other
Yeah.
big teams over there. How did that come about?
So I was born in '95. So we lived in Raleigh, and my mom went to small school. My dad went to small school. He went to Delaware, and so like I didn't really have a football allegiance. Football was kind of like, and my mom had gone to like grad school at Duke, but I'm like, I'm not gonna be a Duke fan for football. Like, we're not doing that. Uh, and so I'm like, 5, 6 years old, getting to the age where it's like, okay, this is fun. Like, I want to root for a team. And well, 2000, 2001, 2002, who was the team? Like it was Miami. But like you also got to think back then, like there was like what, 4 channels on TV. Like
Mhm.
they only showed a few games a week. Miami's number one in the country. That's the one team I get to see every week on TV. I can watch them. So I think I kind of fell in love with those teams, and then I just stuck with it. Especially when I moved down, because we moved down to Charleston, and then it was all these like Clemson fans and South Carolina fans, and they weren't great back then, but they thought they were great, and they would do all, and I was like, I don't want to be a fan of them. Like they think they're all that, they're nothing. Like, so I just stuck it out with Miami, and then yeah, it is what it is.
Did you have a favorite player back then that kind of made you like root even harder for the Canes, or was it just the Canes as a whole?
Uh, Probably like I it probably was like Sean Taylor. Like when I first started like playing football when I was young, like I wanted to play safety because of him. Like his game, I think it was '02. It was either '02 or '03, the rain game against FSU where he was literally just everywhere. He had
Mhm.
like touchdown, turnovers everywhere. It was like one of the most incredible defensive performances I've ever seen. And so that was like with the visor and everything. I always thought that was the coolest thing. So uh, yeah, that probably Sean Taylor.
So, growing up, you played football, right?
Yeah, so that's what I thought. I always have loved football, and I still love football. But growing up, I thought, hey, I'm gonna play some football, whatever. And then played a couple years and realized that I do not have the pain tolerance. I don't have the aggression. I don't have multiple factors that are needed to be a good football player,
Mhm.
let alone just not being very fast. And yeah, Um, I also kept getting stuck on offense. They wanted me to play like tight end and like block all the time, and that was not very fun. Not a huge fan of that. So I wanted to play defense. I didn't get to play defense. I got to play like 2 plays of defense in my career, and I have a pick. Like,
Oh,
leave
okay.
me in the game, coach. What are we doing? But nah, it wasn't for me. I played all the sports, but eventually settled on golf.
So, did you play football all the way up through high school, or did you
No,
like
no,
cut
no. I was
off? Like,
done. I started like really committing to golf in like 7th grade. I was terrible, but that's like 7th grade was kind of when I made the choice because like the sports, like I was a decent basketball player, but like 7th grade, you kind of like that's the first time you like see a dude dunk, and I'm like, this is not gonna be it for me. And soccer, I wasn't that fast. Like didn't love all the running, so that like 7th grade was kind of when I made the commitment to golf. So then after that, like I might have played basketball for like one more year, but from there, I basically just kind of committed to the golf. I mean, I was terrible start. I got cut from my high school team twice. Like I was not good when I first started. Yeah, but I fell in love with it, and I was grinding at it.
No, so that's funny because the first time I really, I had played golf before, you know. First time I really played was at Arkansas State. You know, we went to a bowl game. I like played like one like through nine, like the front nine. I played me and my dad. I actually hit some decent shots. I was like, oh, this is fun. Didn't play again for a few years until I played with Tyler. And I mean, I was horrible. I mean, god awful. They were surprised because at the end of it, like I would keep my real score. And I was like shooting maybe a 130, 140. I mean, they're like, dude, you don't even need like right after a triple bogey, just cut it off. Don't even count it. Whatever, just cut
Pick
it
up.
off. Yeah, just pick up. We'll go to the next hole. I was like, all right, all right. I kid you not, I fell in love with it though. I would hit one shot. You know, there's one
Yeah,
shot that just brings you back. It
keeps you
just
coming
keeps
back.
going.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, you'll play a whole round. And you're like, dude, why do I do this to myself? And then like on the 17th hole, you just hit a pure shot, and you're like, yeah, I'm coming back again. I'm doing this again.
hmm yeah.
Oh,
It's
but I
moments of
kid you not,
greatness.
I would go every single day. My senior year, my first year in my master's, and my second year in my master's because my schedule was so easy. Basically, it was all online. I only
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
few courses, dude. So right after practice, immediately straight to Granada, straight to Granada. I'm going to play a nine. Sometimes I'd play two, then I'd go home. It'd be the same thing every day, every single day. I kid you not. I mean, I went from going in one year shooting 140 basically to now I'm consistently just shooting in the 90s, which, hey, you know what? It's not great, but it
It's
ain't
progress.
terrible. Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
I remember, you know, I'm getting birdies, you know, now, pars, you know, obviously there's going to be a triple putt bogey somewhere in there. Just, it's
hmm
going to come. Uh, but no, I mean, I fell in love with it too. But obviously, didn't play as young. I think if I would have played a lot younger, I I'm not saying I would have stuck with it just because I mean football is
I get
for
that so much now too. Like all my
oh,
buddies that played other sports, like soccer, like especially the baseball players. Like all my buddies that play baseball, they are all getting into golf now, and they're all like, "Man, why didn't we do this?" Like
well,
it's so
so
funny. Like
yeah,
I had a closet, full of clubs. Like I just accumulate clubs. And I'm actually starting to like be able to get rid of them now because I got all these buddies that are like getting into it. I can give them some clubs or whatever. It's like I don't know what it is. I'm getting pretty close to 30 now, and it's just everybody wants to start playing golf.
yeah, no, like in high school, I'm not saying, you know, it wasn't like make fun of like whenever people would go golf, but it was just like you golf, you're
Yeah.
golfing for the high school team. Like, come on now. Like let's go play football. Let's be real.
Mhm.
Now I'm like, dang, I wish I would have joined. I would have loved it going to play
We got
golf, man. During school, that'd have been
we got to miss
awesome.
a lot of class too. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
our starting quarterback, Chris Ayler, actually was on the golf team. And I'm like, dude, that is so like lame. Like you're going to play golf, blah blah blah. Now I'm
yeah,
looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I got convinced to go play golf. That stuff's so much fun. You're out there for a few hours, missing
yeah,
school.
oh yeah,
Obviously, now that you're older, you know, I get on the course, you know, may have a few beverages, you know, just enjoying the day in the sun, you know, put some music on. Love it. But enough about golf. I could go all day about golf. Let's talk some football. Let's talk about your team, the Carolina Panthers.
that's right. Winning streak.
Yeah, yeah, 1-0 winning streak, huh?
That's right.
Finally got one. Dude, I was really hoping to catch you on this episode, you know, maybe the week before after an 0-2 start, just talk down. We all got to win.
I mean, yeah, it's still heavy. I'm still like very down about the entire franchise. David Tepper can
No,
get
no,
out
no.
of there whenever he
You're
wants.
gonna pound. You're
I
gonna
don't know. I
pound
don't
the
know how
drum one
PG
day.
it
You're
is.
gonna pound the drum one day. So don't
Yeah.
say nothing about David Tepper. You're gonna pound the drum one day.
Well, yeah, I'll pound it when he's gone. Maybe we'll
Oh
see.
God.
I can outlive that guy. I'm not concerned.
uh, no, one day that's gonna happen. But you have Bryce Young,
Yeah.
and they bench him, right? He's
Mm,
0-2 start after he had a year last year that he was
mm,
a rookie, right?
yeah.
That was his rookie year last year, right?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to count it against him. Then he has an 0-2 start, and they're like, you know what? We have Andy Dalton. Let's go ahead and let's change things up. Let's, give our team the best chance to win. And everybody's on Twitter. I mean, you even got LeBron chiming in on it, saying that, you
Yeah.
know what? It's the organization, it ain't the player. Then Andy Dalton comes out in the first quarter, just
Yeah.
dicing the defense up.
It's it is very unfortunate, the whole situation, because you feel so bad for Bryce, but on basic eye test, I mean, I was there in the stadium for that Panthers Chargers game. Like, eh, he can't make throws. He doesn't see guys that are open, and then he can't do simple things. I mean, you could see it literally first possession. I could tell 3 plays in with Andy Dalton. He just catches the ball 2 steps and he's on time, sees the open guy and puts it on him. Like, these are simple things that the offense could not do, could not function around when Bryce Young was at quarterback. Uh, I don't know. I know there's been talk on Twitter about like his girl left him or something and he's got
Oh,
stuff in his head. Like, I don't see any way it's not mental at this point because he was way too good in college. But uh
well, the thing is, you know, there's a big, big, huge difference. Huge when it comes to NFL and college. Because, I mean, you kind of see it a little bit with Caleb Williams. They talked about just, the
yeah.
first few weeks. You ain't running around no more and just throwing the ball up, playing against Pac-12 defenses.
Hmm.
All these guys are the best that there is in their
Yeah.
profession.
Yeah.
It ain't the same no more. You're not just gonna have a wide receiver that's just so much better than your DB.
Hmm.
Everybody's gonna be matched up pretty well. So now, I mean, you got to be precise. You got to be studying film like crazy. You got to know exactly where you're going with the ball, how to read a defense. And even then, it still might not be enough. You got to
Hmm.
have a certain edge as a quarterback. And some quarterbacks, when they go from college to NFL, they just don't have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that's why I like how New England is benching or not. I wouldn't say benching because he didn't start, but he's not starting right away, Drake May. Now, me
Yeah.
personally, I'm not sure. He has the intangibles to be a second, third or top five pick, whatever he was.
Yeah.
I think it was third overall pick. He has the intangibles of it, right? Would I have made him that pick? I don't know. You know, I'm not going to get into that, but I like how they're not starting him
I
right away, letting him sit behind a veteran quarterback and learning what it
mhm.
is to how to be a starting quarterback and
Yeah.
a leader on an NFL team.
Yeah. The Patriots team this year reminds me a little bit of the Panthers team last year. They have a decent defense. They can try and make it work with the run game, but the offensive line is not good. They have like basically zero weapons. So I think throwing Drake May out there would be essentially kind of what the Panthers did to Bryce Young last year. And I think that's essentially what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to get as much as they can out of Brissett, maybe sneak Drake May in there for a few snaps just to get some reps in. But I think they just realize that it's essentially fighting a losing battle trying to force him out there. And so they're going to take it patient with him, not break him early, but let him learn a bit and just, if they suck this year, try and get him some help next year with O line, weapons, whatever, maybe.
Well, also another thing it does is it kind of gives you a mulligan as a head coach. It's his
Yeah.
first year coach. You're like, all right, well, we
Yeah.
drafted with our first pick a quarterback and we didn't start him,
Yeah.
right? You kind of have a
That's true.
mulligan. You kind of have a
Yeah.
mulligan, like, what, this year was just kind of developing year.
Yeah.
So
It got Frank Reich fired last year. That's for sure. So,
exactly.
yeah.
So they're not going to count it against you, right? If you don't start him, you're developing him. And then also though, it goes with the owners as well. Maybe Tepper was like, no, you got to start him because they do have a say in it.
Yeah.
It's above the head coach at times. It is above the head coach.
We
Depends
know
on the
Tepper's
owner.
made some bad decisions. So, yeah.
Exactly. So we don't know if it's really the coaches that threw him in there.
Mhm.
In a different situation. It's different NFL and college. You know, you hope to have a good owner and a good
Yeah.
GM that allows you to run your team how you want. And maybe they're, maybe over there in New England. in Foxborough. They're doing the
Mm,
right thing with that, and Kraft is
yep.
just letting them, do their thing. Obviously, more hands-on guy over here in Dallas, Jerry Jones. I don't think I don't think there's much, you know, he's hands off about. But
Yeah.
there's a discussion going on right now. You see all over ESPN and Twitter, the internet, everywhere. Should teams go back to where they did that? The first year they just developed a quarterback. You talk
Mhm.
about guys being drafted in the first round and getting thrown in the fire right away. Johnny Manziel talked about it in an interview in a podcast to where the best thing that could have happened to him was Josh McCown coming in, and he told him straight up, if you want to learn how to be a quarterback in the NFL, go ahead and attach yourself to my hip, and I'm gonna show you.
Yep.
I'm gonna show you how to watch film, how to eat, how to sleep, how to train, how
Mhm.
to do everything. He
Pretty
said it
much,
was. Go ahead.
pretty much almost all of the good quarterbacks in the NFL right now did get to wait. Like that kind of
Mhm.
is how it's been. The only like exceptions, CJ Stroud was like freak exception last year, and then Ken Dorsey's guys. So like Cam Newton was able to do it in Carolina, learn for a bit, and then once he had Ken Dorsey, and then Ken Dorsey did it again with Josh Allen in Buffalo and was able to like flip that crazy situation there. So, but like for the most part, like guys like Mahomes, he got to wait. Like
That's
Jordan
what I was
Love got to wait a
yeah.
ton of time, and he's looked great now that he's gotten to go in there. Like
Mhm.
even Lamar, he waited behind I think Flacco for like a year, and they got everything situated there.
And you realize who those guys were behind too. Jordan Love
Pets.
was behind Aaron Rodgers,
Yep.
who another guy sat and waited.
Hmm.
And he
Yeah.
waited behind Brett Favre,
Yep.
right? You
Yep.
know, and you have Flacco, who is a veteran guy that Lamar got to learn from.
Hmm.
Mahomes had Alex Smith.
Who, by the way, had an insane year when Mahomes waited. That was a crazy thing they did when they traded him away. Everybody was like, "This guy played amazing," and then they traded him away afterwards. They're like, I mean, that was a big deal when he got sent away after that.
Oh, big time. I mean, but you see like the development of the quarterback. The best quarterbacks in the league right now,
Mm,
they all had to wait. You look at
yeah,
Jalen Hurts,
yeah,
he waited.
yeah,
I mean, come on. I mean, there's so many things, so many examples of that. Obviously, like you said, CJ Stroud, freak exception.
yeah.
I mean, he's just one of those guys. You come in and you start seeing, you're like, this is a dude, and he's our guy, 100%.
Mhm.
I don't think there should be a thing where immediately this guy comes in, just like Caleb Williams, and bam, he's our starting quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't think you should just automatically put them in that position. Now, if they're
I don't
ready,
disagree.
yeah,
Especially last year, like I think the Panthers really messed it up last year because they had Andy Dalton on the roster last year too. Like, there's no reason they couldn't have sat Bryce, especially knowing how bad that offensive line was going to be. I think they botched that entire system or situation. But
well, they're basically just restarting it. Now they're
yeah,
setting Bryce back
yeah. But
enough.
is Bryce too damaged of good? Like, is he going to be so mentally messed up from this whole thing? Like, hopefully he can get over. I mean,
I don't, I don't know. That's going to be something to see. I mean, if you look at him growing up, I mean, he's the number one quarterback,
mm,
5-star guy, and he was at Alabama, won a national championship and the Heisman, first overall pick. He hasn't had much things he had to like overcome. So,
I'm gonna guess in what did he play? 17 games last year. Well, he missed one, so 16 games and then two this year. And those 18 games that he's played in the NFL, that's probably more losses than he's had in basically his entire life career, like
100%.
before that. Because he lost what probably like 4 or 5 games at Alabama for his whole career.
I didn't think
Probably
he
didn't
lost
lose. He went to Mater Dei, I
that.
think, in
That's what I
high
was about
school.
to say. I think
Like he
maybe he
didn't lose
lost
in high school,
one
probably
game.
at all.
Yeah.
Like dude has never
I
lost in
mean,
his life.
it's going to be interesting to see how that situation plays out. But, we talk about perseverance, and I kind of wanted to bring up some perseverance that you had faced last year. There was a round, the last hole where it's not putting your scorecard at risk, but what it would do is kind of give you less starts, or it just kind of puts it
Yeah.
all up in the air about how many starts you get for the following year, following
Mm,
season, like that.
yeah.
If you do good on this last hole, or if you just par the hole right, you're
So
fine.
it was par five. If I bogeyed, I would make the cut. Basically, I was it was the last event of the year, and I was basically kind of on the bubble for the cutoff for keeping my full status for this season. And it was par five, like pretty easy hole. All I had to do was bogey to make the cut. So I'm not even really thinking about that. I'm trying to birdie the hole because it's an easy hole, and you know, thinking about trying to go win the tournament on the weekend, and happened to hit it a little right, but not bad. I mean, this is my home course, by the way. This is literally where I play every day. Hit the ball here plenty of times, never a problem. Probably don't go for the green, but definitely a layup, little wedge, still can make birdie, no problem. Got my whole family with me. Like, I mean, I probably had 20 plus people in there for it. We never found the golf ball. It was gone. The only thing we can think of is it got stuck in a tree, which I've never seen happen on that hole before. Um, that was probably like the worst I've ever felt for about a 10-minute period in my life. Like walking up there, realizing the ball was gone, and then having to go back and realizing that I have to birdie the second ball or else I might be done on the PGA Tour next season.
See, I don't think people realize how like intense that is because golf for me already, like I'm not a professional at all, but when I'm playing with my boys, I get nervous when we're competing, you know. I just this right here is where you make your money. This is how you make your living. You're trying to stay, with the amount of starts, get more starts or whatever it was with the
Mm-hmm.
PGA Tour card, right? All you need to do, you could just bogey the hole and you're good. You're
Yep.
good. You're fine. You still make
I
the
could
cut.
I could have hit an 8 iron the entire way down the hole, made par probably pretty easy. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
And now on a par five, you have to birdie it
Mm-hmm.
to keep your tour card. Once you hit your shot and it goes up, you birdie it,
Yeah.
thankfully. But
Yeah.
how nervous were you on that putt?
Luckily, I hit a good chip, so it wasn't a super long putt, and it was. I mean, it's a pin I played to multiple times. I knew what the putt was going to do. It was about 2.5 feet straight up the hill. It was as easy a putt as you could ask for, but I was very glad to just see it go in and just be done with the whole drama of the previous 15, 20 minutes.
So, as a golfer, you know, we talk about being a quarterback and being a golfer. Quarterbacks, when they mess up in a game, you got to go back out there and you got to reset your mind.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing in golf because it's all, I
Yeah.
mean, a big part of golf is a mind game, right?
Yeah.
You have to be
Yeah.
mentally strong in that because, I mean, you hit a bogey, you don't want next hole to be a bogey, next hole to be a
Yeah.
bogey or a triple. You don't want it to, accumulate,
Right.
right? You need to
Yeah. You got
reset
a
your
short
mind and
memory for
focus.
sure.
How are you able to do that, especially on, something with that much pressure in that hole?
The- Obviously, the whole situation sucked in that moment, but it wasn't that hard to fully reset because it was like, it was so final. Like, literally, there was no like gray area about like I knew what the cut line was going to be, and I was like, all right, well, we're back on the tee hitting three. I have 4 shots to get this in the hole. I have no other option. Like that's what I'm just going to do. And at that point, like when you're kind of like that and you just have no other option, it can sometimes free you up just a little bit because it's so clear what you have to do that it's just like, all right, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna hit a good tee shot. All right, now I'm in the fairway. I'm going for this green. I'm just gonna put a good swing on it. Like this is everything I got riding on this. Like no other thoughts, just like solely focused on what I'm trying to do.
There was that one tournament in Tampa that we went to. I believe it was your final day.
Yeah, Valspar. Yeah.
Yep. And there was a putt that you missed. All right. It wasn't, I think it was maybe 3 feet, but it had curved the hole was hard from that angle where you
Mm-hmm.
putted. It was a very, very hard putt, but most people don't see that, right? So you missed the putt, and I remember asking you afterwards, because it's towards the end of the tournament, right? You missed the putt, and the putt ended up costing you maybe $30,000.
Yeah.
How in the world do you not just fall to your knees in a moment like that? Like that to me, like obviously, like it would break me. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I I don't know if I could do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just would have a mental breakdown. You see the videos of golfers throwing their clubs and stuff. That
Yeah.
would have to be me. You ended up, all right, you made the next putt, and you just go
Mm-hmm.
on, you're fine.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, I'm sure other people wonder it too. Because when you look at it like that, it's like
Yeah.
obviously you can't look at it like that while you're playing.
Yeah. It's like when I'm in tournaments like that, I'm so like competitive with it that like the money, all that doesn't matter. Like, I mean, yes, it sucks that I'm losing the money from that, but like I'll be more angry that I missed a putt that I know I should have made. Like, because I just want to beat people. Like, obviously the money is great. We're on the PJ Tour. They pay us insane amounts of money for like simply playing golf. It's crazy. But like, I just want to beat dudes. Like, I just want to win tournaments. I just want to win. And so like missing putts like that, like, yeah, that sucks. But like, I, I'll be more upset on myself. Like for messing something up like that because I'll move down the leaderboard. Like I want to beat those guys that I'm moving behind. Like it's I don't think it would be helpful to think about it like monetarily as you're playing anyway, but like that's never really been an issue for me because I'm just so focused on just finishing the best I can, beating dudes and just trying to shoot, the best score I possibly can.
How does it feel for you, when you have such a big gallery watching you? Because I remember that day.
I
Who,
love it.
who are you
It
matched up?
actually, and if you go back and look, like if you look at my stats or my finishes on the year, literally all my good finishes are like some of the best tournaments with fans. Like Waste Management is like known for having like crazy fans. I played really good there. Cognizant or the what used to be the Honda Classic, they always get like crazy good fans there. Had like top 10 there as well. Canadian Open always has like a ton of fans, and I actually got to play with like Corey Connors, who's one of the best Canadian players this year. So we had like a huge crowd that week. I finished like top 15 there. I love playing in front of fans. Like it definitely brings out the best in me.
What was the year before, I believe, you started off real good in a tournament. Were you paired with Scotty or Rory? It was one of the bigger
I
name golf.
played I played with Scotty at Colonial last year on Saturday. We were like kind of near the lead, I think.
Yeah, I remember you were doing very well in that tournament on Saturday, and you were
Yeah.
paired up with him, number one golfer in the world.
Mm.
How was that?
It's sick. Scotty's great though. Like it's it's different. Like guys back in the day playing with number one golfer in the world is Tiger. That's intimidating and stuff. Like Scotty is a little intimidating, but he's also like he's just a
The
big
nicest thing.
goofball. Like
Yeah,
I've known Scotty since we were like 15, 16 years old. So like anytime we play, it's a good time. Um, actually, that day, well, we both were struggling that day. We did not play very well. That was like he actually shot over par that day, which like I think it was like
very.
the first time he'd shot over par in a round in like months at that point in time because he'd been playing really well. But no, it was, it's still like who you play with isn't doesn't affect things like a ton. It can as far as like having a lot more people in your group, I guess, but it's still like you versus a golf course. Like it's not like Scotty's out there playing defense against my shots or something. Like it's still just me hitting my shots.
You ever have any golfers talk mess while golfing with you?
Not
I
really.
know that's not really
And
golf
that's
etiquette.
so it's actually the President's Cup is going on right now too. And that's like one thing I would love to get into one of those team events because like match play is the one time where it's not necessarily you versus the golf course. It's you versus a dude.
Yeah,
And that's like I love playing in front of fans. And then I also would love that atmosphere. I know Scotty and Tom Kim were getting into it a little bit, but they're boys, so that goes back. But people are kind of scared to get like a little contentious in those. Like I'm okay if there's like a little chirping in a match. I would love that. Like I've got no problem. Like I mean, you see Cam Ward out there talking mess to the other team. Like I'm cool with that. Like if we want to bring that to the golf course, I'm not against it.
no, I love that. Well, tell me how you feel right now about the Canes football team. What are you thinking?
They look good. They look very, very good. I'm excited for tomorrow, getting ACC play going. Uh, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of offense. Defense looks good. It's strength where you want to see it. You know, in college football, you always want a good quarterback and good pass rush. Well, we might have number one in the country in both of those right now. So
Do you think this is the year for us? Could
it's
it be?
so hard. Like it's so far in advance. Like this, the base that they have set right now is very, very good. But you got to stay healthy. You got to stay focused. We've played 4 games. Like there's 8 more regular season games. Then you have a conference championship. then you have potentially like 3 playoff games or whatever it is now. Like there are so many games left to be played. Like, yes, I think this team is good enough to do some special things, but I also think this team knows that they can get better too. And I think right now, like early in the season, like I think that's probably what they're most focused on.
I mean, it would be hard to look at this schedule and say we don't make the playoffs. I mean, 100%. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, I don't disagree.
who do you think our toughest opponent's going to be during the season? Our biggest challenge? Because we go to Louisville, right?
I think at Louisville is going to be tough. I think
We're at Georgia Tech.
there will be ACC games like at Louisville, at Georgia Tech. Manny's going to make that game against Duke his Super Bowl. I don't think that Duke team is great. At Syracuse in the Carrier Dome could be weird, although they did just lose, so maybe they're not maybe as good as some people thought. Um, it's tough though. Like, I feel like all the teams like aren't fantastic, but like they're gonna make it their Super Bowls. So it's like they're all gonna want to win so bad. So
100%. You know, they're playing us.
like Florida State, their season is over, right? Like basically, they're not good, so they're just gonna play like a team that's given up, except for one game on the schedule this year,
That's how it
and
was
that's
for
going to be
us
the
last
Miami
year.
game because they want to try and spoil. That was exactly, yeah,
It's literally flipped this year. It's
yes,
literally going to be flipped. We're under.
yeah.
We're gonna hopefully, don't want to jinx nothing. We're undefeated going
Mm-hmm.
against them. And they're literally going to be how we were last year. It's going to be the same exact case scenario.
Yeah,
It was a
it's
tough
just,
game. We went down to the wire.
but this is, I mean, this is what you got to come to expect though. Like, if you're going to be one of those top tier teams, like elite teams in college football, like you got to expect every week to get everybody's best shot because when Miami's good, everybody wants to beat Miami.
100%.
It just that is the nature of it, and so that's something that you're going to kind of have to deal with.
Well, look, I'm excited to see the rest of the season. I'm glad I was able to get you on, to talk about, the Canes, you, golf, football, Panthers. Obviously we text all the time about some football stuff
Yeah,
and golf,
for sure.
but I wanted everybody to hear kind of the conversations, learn a little bit about you. Could you just briefly, just tell me what you think a real true fan is?
A, a true like Miami fan or
True fan in general.
a true fan. Uh, a true fan is anybody that would give something for the team, whether it's support, showing love, whatever that may be. Whether it's eating poop out of a red Solo cup, maybe it's that.
Florida
But
State.
anybody that's willing to give something for their team, their time or whatever, even if that's just sitting and watching the game every week, yelling, doing whatever, it doesn't have to be much. But if you're following the team, if you're living and dying for it, like you're a fan.
Right. I love that. And, obviously they appreciate every single fan. The Canes do. Obviously we're going to be texting more about how we're doing this season back and forth.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully we can pull out, playoffs, ACC championship. Let's hope, fingers crossed.
Hmm.
But thank you for coming on, and I'll talk to you later, brother.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.